Part 82. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 813. 811. His sudden arrival made Mrs. Huo and Mr. Huo suddenly have bad guesses. Grandma, Grandpa Huo Yingzhi smiled, stepped forward and bowed. Yingzhi, why are you here? Why are you here alone? Mrs. Huo said hurriedly, hoping that something had happened to her family. She was a little worried. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, no, my job was transferred and I worked in a unit directly under the Yanjing Science and Technology Commission. After I settled in, I came over to say hello to my grandfather and grandmother. Come here, why don't you bring any luggage? Madame Huo asked. Looking behind her, she found that the young man behind Huo Yingzhi had no luggage in his hands. I have luggage, but I put it in the newly bought house, which is close to my work, Huo Yingzhi explained. My parents, Tian Tian, and 2 children, Grandma Wang, are all fine. You don't have to worry. Mrs. Huo felt sad when she heard that her grandson was living outside instead of at home. Why are you kid living outside? Mrs. Huo said, you can stay with me when you go home. Your uncle, cousin, and grandfather are also at home. You can drink tea and talk together. It's better than it's comfortable for you to live outside alone. Just because I didn't want to live in the old house, I went straight to my yard when I came back. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, thank you, Grandma. I'm close to my work there. On the other hand, the house is quite big. I want to watch the decoration over there. When the rest day comes, I can come over to accompany Grandpa play chess and drink tea. Mrs. Huo felt a little sad after hearing this, and looked at Huo Yingzhi with a complicated expression. Grandma, when I finish packing, I can pick you up to stay for a while, Huo Yingzhi said. Grandpa is the same, and Tian Tian will come over with the child in a while. Then we will come to visit Grandpa. Grandma, why don't you do it? I hate how noisy we are. Mr. Huo knew that his second son's family was unwilling to come to live in the old house. Firstly, there are not many rooms in the old house, and a new child was added to the family last year, so it is indeed more crowded than before. Secondly, the people in the second room are also older, and there are more people, so naturally they don't want to be crowded together with the big room, especially stay like this for a long time. Tian Tian is coming too. Mr. Huo took over the topic and stopped talking about trying to persuade Huo Yingzhi to live in the old house. When can the job be transferred? Yes, the job has not been transferred yet. I originally wanted to transfer her to a certain university in Yanjing, but Tian Tian is afraid that she does not know enough and wants to study for a few more years, Huo Yingzhi replied. So Grandma, Grandpa, don't worry about me. People don't live well outside. Mrs. Huo has already calmed down her mind. Her son and grandson have grown up, and they have begun to make plans for themselves. Then you have to say yes and come over for dinner often, Mrs. Huo said. Come, you talk to your grandpa, and I will go to the kitchen to cook you something delicious. Thank you, Grandma, Huo Yingzhi said. Don't tire yourself. I'm not tired. Mrs. Huo turned and left, hiding the disappointment on her face. Yingzhi, let's go to the study. Mr. Huo had a lot to say and wanted to ask Huo Yingzhi whether it was appropriate to be in the yard. Yes, Grandpa. Huo Yingzhi stepped forward to help his grandfather, and together they went into the house and went to the study upstairs. When we got to the study room, the nanny had already brought freshly brewed tea. Huo Yingzhi took it, poured a cup of tea for his grandfather himself, and said, Grandpa, drink tea. Okay. Mr. Huo took it. Your grandmother likes to keep her son and grandson together when she is old. Haha, Yingzhi knows, Huo Yingzhi said, I will come to visit you often. Tian Tian and I are both lazy people, and our 2 children are also naughty. It is not convenient to get in and out of here, and we bought something outside house, so I want to live outside. Mr. Huo nodded and said, Your grandmother and I both know what you are thinking. It's normal for trees to have big branches. In fact, we also understand that if we live separately, there will be fewer conflicts. Thank you for your understanding, Grandpa. Huo Yingji smiled and said, please Grandpa, give more advice to Grandma. I will do it. Don't feel pressured, Mr. Huo said. In private, he would advise the old lady. Huo Yingji smiled and said, no, Grandma misses us too. By the way, I didn't even get the news here about your job transfer, so it's obviously very confidential, Mr. Huo said with a smile. If you do it well, you will have a better chance of getting ahead in Yanjing than in Nanji. Yes, Grandfather, Huo Yingji said. Father said the same, I will work hard. When you work, in addition to working hard and conscientiously, you must be humble and not be arrogant or arrogant, let alone use your power to bully others, Mr. Huo added. However, if others bully you, you don't have to wrong yourself. Others are not easy to mess with, and we Huo the family is even more difficult to deal with. Well, that's what I think too, Huo Yingji said. My main focus is on work. If no one provokes me, I will not take the initiative to make trouble with others. That's good, Mr. Huo said. How is your father? My father's side is going well. Some companies that arrived early will be able to collect taxes tomorrow fall. By then, Nanji's fiscal revenue will be greatly increased, Huo Yingji replied. There are also several large companies, such as Kijia. The joint venture with the Bai family and the local government will be able to launch new cars by the end of the year, which is a huge source of financial revenue. After hearing this, Mr. Huo nodded repeatedly and said, since the reform, let some people get rich first. Once they are rich, their food, clothing, housing and transportation will improve. The prospects are very good. Yes, Huo Yingji said. After that, the grandfather and grandson chatted together for a long time, and it was noon before they knew it. Today happened to be Saturday. Although Huo Jekian and Huo Yingjun had to go to work, they were relatively free as usual and went home for lunch. Song Chunli's department finished work on Saturday morning and didn't have to go in the afternoon. Among the last family members, only Zhao Huan is still struggling at work. While eating, I was a little surprised to see Mr. Huo and Huo Yingji coming downstairs together. Yingji, when did you return to Yanjing? Huo Yingjun asked hurriedly. If you had told me earlier, I would have picked you up. Yes, Huo Zhe said, your parents, Tian, have 2 children, okay. Haha, everything is fine. Thank you for your concern, Uncle, Huo Yingji said. Uncle, how is your health? Very good, Song Chunli smiled. By the way, you're here, where's Tian? During the Chinese New Year, Tian talked about opening a shop, but half a year has passed and there has been no movement. Could Tian be teasing her? The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 814. 812. When she sees other people making money, she feels itchy, envious, and jealous. If it weren't for her family's control, Song Chunli would have already started a business partnership with others. Now among those doing business around me, every one of them is making a lot of money and is much better than her. Tian can't come over until summer vacation, Huo Yingji smiled and said without saying much. He must listen to his wife Tian about business matters. Hearing this, Song Chunli felt relieved for the time being. When Tian came over, she would definitely tell Tian that she wanted more shares and made more money. Now that Huo Yingji is staying in Yanjing to work, Tian will probably come too. Okay, Song Chunli spoke repeatedly, as if she saw a lot of money flying in front of her. In order to get more shares, Song Chunli thought about going back to her parents' house to borrow some money and asking her mother-in-law for some more, but she still had to get half of the shares. Huo Yingji had lunch at home, and then Huo Yingji said goodbye and left. Huo Yingjun sent it out and was very envious when he saw that Huo Yingji had a car. Yingji, let me go to your house and check out the door. Huo Yingjun said, come on, let me drive and try this imported car. Okay, Huo Yingji said, Xiewu, sit in the back and let me try it. Yes, Xiewu agreed, opened the door and got out of the car, opened the door and sat in. Huo Yingjun tried out the new imported car and praised it. Oh my, this engine is so good. It's not too noisy, and it's much better than the Jeep I drove before. Haha, when the car in Nanji comes on the market, I will give you one as a gift, Huo Yingji said with a smile. Through the patent agency in Hong Kong, he can get a lot of money every year, so there is no need to give Huo Yingjun a car. Down. Even imported cars can be afforded, but it is too troublesome and I am worried that it will cause trouble to Huo Yingjun. A car is very expensive, but it's not a bicycle. Let's forget it, Huo Yingjun declined, feeling like his heart was bleeding. With his salary, without food or water, it would probably take him 10 years to be able to afford a car. Just wait, Huo Yingji smiled, brother, I just came and I haven't given you anything decent yet. Haha, I really like it, and Huo Yingjun is also looking forward to it. When he arrived at home, Huo Yingjun said in surprise, second brother, your yard is really nice. I didn't expect it to be so big. There are many people, Huo Yingji said, when things are cleared here, I will pick up my grandfather and my grandmother will come over to stay. It's impossible not to buy a big one. When Tianation's family comes, they will need a lot of houses. We can't let our relatives stay in hotels all the time. Huo Yingjun sat down and went to work. Huo Yingji asks Xiewu to send Huo Yingjun to the unit. Huo Yingji prepares at home and goes to work tomorrow. After Huo Yingji left, Song Chunli started to make insinuations and said, Mom, I have 40,000 yuan in my hand. You can give me more, and I will borrow more from my parents' house. We can also have more money and open the shop even more a little better. Mrs. Huo glanced at Song Chunli and said, you can invest as much as you have. If I give you money, do the shares count as mine? In the future, 100 years from now, I won't be able to give this share to your family alone. Got a split? Song Chunli was stunned. Her mother-in-law's intention was very obvious. It was okay to give her money, but she had to take the shares. My mother-in-law has no worries about food and drink. At such an old age, why do I want shares? It's just an excuse because I don't want to give money. Thinking of this, Song Chunli felt a little frustrated and said, Mom, what do you want the shares for? Just treat it like I borrowed it from you, and when I pay my salary or get dividends, I will return it to you in double the amount. That's the coffin book for your father and I. Mrs. Huo said, don't give it to anyone. If you don't have money, you won't participate in it. Song Chunli was speechless by her mother-in-law, and her face turned blue and white. At this time, Zhao Huan came in from outside. After a tiring day, he went home to wash up and rest early. Grandma, Mother Zhao Huan said hello and wanted to go upstairs. Wait a minute, I have something to tell you, Song Chunli said, feeling angry at this busy daughter-in-law. If Zhao Huan can make money, why bother currying favor with He Tian? Zhao Huan was stunned. Seeing that her mother-in-law looked unhappy and her grandmother was not happy, she was a little scared. Don't use her as a punching bag again. Tian will come to Yanjing in a while, and she will probably talk about investing in shares then. I don't have much money here. If you have some, you can lend me some. When I have money, I can pay you back double. You, Song Chunli said, she didn't want any money from her son or daughter-in-law. I need money now, so I opened my mouth. Mrs. Huo said nothing. If Zhao Huan was willing to give, she would not talk much. Mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, one is willing to be beaten and the other is willing to suffer, she will not meddle in other people's business. If Zhao Huan doesn't want to, she can talk again. Zhao Huan was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, "Mom, Tian Tian also told me during the Chinese New Year that I would prepare money and give Yingjun and I 10% of the shares. The implication is that they also want to buy shares, and they will not give it to Song Chunli. Zhao Huan is not stupid. According to her husband, He Tianation's shop is very profitable, otherwise how could he afford a house worth hundreds of thousands? Now her mother-in-law is constantly suppressing her. If she has to take money from her mother-in-law in the future, life will be even more difficult, so she immediately decided that she must get He Tianation's shares. When Song Chunli heard this, she became even more unhappy. She tried her best to suppress her anger and asked, "Did Tian Tian tell you how much money you should prepare for 10% of the shares? If it wasn't much, she wouldn't want Zhao Huan's private money." 40,000 Zhao Huan said, "Here is the personal money of me and Yingjun, and the New Year's money for our 2 children. It's not enough. My parents agreed to lend me 15,000, and finally I got enough." 40,000, Song Chunli stared wide-eyed, 40,000 for 10% of the shares. "Yes," Zhao Huan said, "Tian Tian came to Yanjing to open a store. To open such a big store, the investment must be huge. Even with this 40,000 yuan and a 10% share, I feel embarrassed." Song Chunli didn't look good on her face, but her daughter-in-law had already made an agreement with Tang He Tian Tian, and she couldn't force the money back. The most important thing is that 10% of the shares are worth 40,000 yuan, and she has at most 40,000 yuan in hand. Go out and borrow something, maybe 20 or 30,000 at most. No matter how much you borrow, it's useless. It's not enough for 20% of the share. Ms. Huo saw that Zhao Huan had found a way to deal with it, so she nodded secretly and shifted the focus of the topic to the shares, not the couple's private money. Huan, you are tired too. Go up and rest early, Ms. Huo said, get some sleep. I will call you when you have dinner. Thank you, Grandma, Zhao Huan said with a smile. Mom, if nothing happens, I'll go upstairs first. Regardless of her mother-in-law's ugly face, she quickly went upstairs. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 815. 813. After Zhao Huan left, Ms. Huo looked at Song Chunli quietly. Song Chunli felt a little embarrassed under the gaze of her mother-in-law. Although she felt aggrieved, she still wanted to get more shares through her mother-in-law, so she had to say angrily, Mom, 40,000 yuan is 10% of the shares, isn't it too little for 1 year? You can't make much money. If you think it's too little, you don't have to invest in it, Ms. Huo said, although Tian Tian hasn't told me yet, from Huan's calculation, I will give you 10% of the shares at most. You don't have to ask for more shares, so as not to make the 2 families look bad. But who knows if Tian Tian will falsely report the capital, Song Chunli muttered, if you just give me 10%, it's too little, at least 30%. Haha, you dare to open your mouth like a lion, Ms. Huo sneered, go ahead and say it, I won't intercede for you anyway. If you are thick-skinned enough, you can say it yourself. As for whether Tian Tian can, I will agree and I won't interfere. He Tian Tian does things without leakage, which can be seen from the shares she gave Zhao Huan. If she doesn't want Song Chunli to become popular, she will definitely make Song Chunli and Zhao Huan evenly matched, so that the second wife can watch the fire from the other side. Therefore, He Tian Tian will never give Song Chunli too many shares. Hey, it gives me a headache to think about Song Chunli's restless temper and unwillingness to give up until she hits the wall. Mom, you can't favor the second brother's family just because they returned to Beijing, Song Chunli was anxious. Her mother-in-law used to be close to them. Huo Yingja had just arrived and was no longer helping them. Haha, Mrs. Huo sneered, if I don't get benefits from the second room for you, it's just partiality. Then your heart is really evil. Don't tell me these things in the future, lest I can't help but want to get angry again I don't give you face. Mrs. Huo didn't want to see Song Chunli's greedy and unfair expression, so she went out for a walk and ignored Song Chunli. Song Chunli had no choice but to go back to her room and sulk. Since 40,000 yuan would get 10% of the shares, she would prepare 80,000 yuan, which would give her at least 20%. Plus Zhao Huan's, the big house would get 30%, which was barely acceptable. Song Chunli didn't know that He Tian was only going to give 20% to their family. If she found out, something would definitely happen again. Huo Yingja didn't care about this. She was an elder and an aunt, and her mother would come to deal with it. He and Tian could just hide behind. Huashan sent He Tian's car over. It was a cute beetle, and it was cute and pink. When Huo Yingja saw such a car, he also felt that it matched He Tian very well. Early the next morning, Huo Yingja went to work and became familiar with the working environment. Huo Yingja is very adaptable and humble, so he works smoothly in the unit. Let's say that He Tian stayed in Nanji and was busy invigilating the exam. After finishing the exam for the best subject, when the invigilator collected the test papers, He Tian said, "Students, I have something to tell you, so I will spare you a few minutes." The classmates who were packing their things stopped and looked at He Tian. "I am very happy to spend this year with you all. I have learned something from my classmates and am very happy. Moreover, you are the first batch of students since I became a teacher. I like you very much." Yuan, who raised his hand, stood up and said, "Teacher He, we like you too. You are the best teacher in our minds and the guiding light on our way forward." If this was a compliment to other teachers, other students would definitely think that Monitor Yuan Hua was flattering, but for Teacher He, they were convinced. "Thank you for your recognition," He Tian said, "just because of work transfer and family reasons, I am going to Yanjing. Although we can't study and make progress together in the future, I hope you will work harder and achieve success in the future." When everyone heard this, they were stunned. Tang Pingan stood up hurriedly and said, "Teacher He, won't you teach us any more? I thought you could teach us until we graduate from college." "Yeah, I didn't expect it would be just 1 year," others agreed. "I can't bear to leave Teacher He." He Tian smiled and said, "There is no such thing as a feast that lasts forever, so I have to leave. I will leave you the address. If you have anything, you can write to me and I will try my best to help you. Teacher He." Yuan Hua's eyes were red, and he was a little reluctant to give up, but he had so many words to say that he didn't know what to say. "Well, if we are destined to meet each other in the future, maybe we will meet again," He Tian said. "After today's exam, everyone will go home soon. Please pay attention to safety on the road." After that, He Tian picked up the book on the podium and prepared to leave. "Teacher He, we will miss you." Yuan Hua couldn't help it, rushed forward and hugged He Tian tightly. Yuan Hua is good at writing poetry, rich in emotion, and good at expressing his own emotions. At this moment, she couldn't think of anything to say to thank Teacher He, she just wanted to hug her. Other girls also stepped forward and hugged Teacher He one by one. Boys also want to hug like girls, but they don't dare. Teacher He is a goddess in their hearts, and they can only watch from a distance without blaspheming. He Tian stretched out her hand, shook hands with the boys and said, "Shake hands, I wish you success in your studies." Then He Tian left with red eyes. Everyone left, but the students were all in the classroom, silent for a long time. Yuan Hua said with red eyes, "Teacher He has done so many things for us, but we have never repaid her. Now that she is leaving, let's all raise funds to treat Teacher He to a meal. We won't go to those expensive places either. It's a restaurant we often go to, right near our school. How about it? I agree, Tang Pingan said. The amount of money spent is secondary, the main thing is our wishes. I will pay half of the money, and everyone will contribute the rest. How about it? I'll give you the other half, Yuan Hua said. The other three publishers also stood up and asked for half. The other students were unhappy and said, since we are thanking the teacher, we will share it equally. Although we don't make as much as you, we can't let you spend more on this matter. We stay behind. Yes, we will share it equally, the students agreed, and I really wanted to thank He Tian Tian. Upon seeing this, Yuan Hua said, okay, let's share it equally. The time will be set at noon tomorrow. I will go and tell teacher He now. Tang Pingan, you can take someone there to book a box first. There are 29 of us in total. There are probably 3 tables. If you have a train ticket tomorrow morning, you can go and change it. Let's have a nice meal with teacher He as a class. Okay, everyone agreed very much with Yuan Hua's arrangement. He Tian Tian, who was packing up the test papers and preparing to take them back for correction, saw Yuan Hua coming over and asked, Yuan Hua, are you okay? Yuan Hua nodded and said, teacher He, our whole class would like to treat you to a meal at Zia He private restaurant at noon tomorrow. Are you free to come? The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 816. 814. He Tian Tian was slightly surprised and said with a smile, I won't let you spend money. I'll come over and treat you to dinner tomorrow. No, this is our farewell banquet for teacher He. How can we let the teacher treat us? Yuan Hua said, teacher He, you can come over tomorrow. This is the wish of all our classmates. Okay, I'll go there at noon tomorrow, He Tian Tian agreed, thinking that when eating tomorrow, she would just settle the order in advance. Teacher He, see you tomorrow. Yuan Hua smiled and left happily to make some preparations. He Tian Tian smiled happily, not because the student invited her to dinner, but because of the student's thoughtfulness. Back home, He Tian Tian was always smiling. Zhang Lifang smiled and asked, what makes you so happy? Haha, He Tian Tian said, I said goodbye to my students today. My classmates will treat me to dinner tomorrow and see me off. That's good, Zhang Lifang said, they can feel your hard work. However, the students don't have much money, so I can treat you to dinner, but don't forget to pay. Well, I think so too, He Tian Tian said, I'll find a chance to pay tomorrow. Yes, don't let students spend money, Zhang Lifang said, the family does not lack the money, just accept other people's wishes. At night, He Tian Tian put her child to sleep and began to correct the test papers. It took 2 hours and she corrected 1/3 of the papers. Anyway, there were still 2 days left, so she should be able to make it in time. The next morning, I corrected some more, and at 10 o'clock, I rode my bicycle to Ziahe's private restaurant. Yuan Hua has already taken his classmates to book a large private room upstairs. There are 4 tables in it, and He Tian Tian can seat 3 tables. Teacher He, let's not say any more words of thanks. Let's talk about some jokes that happened between our classmates. Yuan Hua is not a greasy person. Although he feels sad, smiling can reduce the sadness. With Yuan Hua's suggestion, everyone also smiled. He Tian Tian sat down, took a sip of barley tea and said, okay, tell me, let me hear what weird things happened in our class. A boy stood up and said, teacher, it's a bit naughty, can you tell me? A boy next to him immediately reached out and covered the boy's mouth and yelled, you can't say it. You can't say it. Everyone laughed when they saw the boy. The man was smiling heartily, and the girl was blushing, but they were all smiling so hard that they couldn't even see their teeth. Haha, it's okay, He Tian Tian said, you can laugh at it, you can be flirty, but it's fine as long as it's not obscene. A boy at the other table stood up and said, Hold Wu Hao, I'm telling you. You can't say it, Lu Hua, you bastards, will my reputation be ruined here today? Wu Hao didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and looked at He Tian like a goddess. He Tian said treacherously, tell me, all the classmates know it anyway, so it doesn't matter if one more person knows it. Tang Pingan smiled and said, even our class knows about it, everyone in our department probably knows about it, and it has been famous in the school for a long time. Ah, He Tian was surprised, it has a huge impact. He Tian's curiosity aroused, and she looked expectantly at Lu Hua, who was standing up. Haha, Lu Hua smiled, I usually go out of my way to help my brothers, but today I decided to go in front of my brothers for the sake of teacher Bo He's smile. Ha ha ha. Everyone laughed, and the girls didn't laugh as shyly as before, and the atmosphere became more lively. Lu Hua stood up and said, teacher, this is what happened. Last month, the weather was extremely hot. I couldn't sleep at night and was covered in sweat. But other men are lazy, unlike Wu Hao who takes showers 3 times a day. That morning, Wu Hao went to the water room to take a shower as soon as he got up. Normally, the cleaning lady would come to clean the house at 6:30, but that day was unusual, and Wu Hao came at 6 o'clock, thinking it was time to take a shower. The classmate didn't pay attention. After taking a bath, he turned around and left, seeing the dumbfounded ant. Wu Hao was also dumbfounded and didn't know what to do. The ant was still kind and reminded me, young man, what's the matter? I don't know how to use a basin to cover it. Wu Hao then took the basin to cover his important parts, ran back to the dormitory like a pig, and kept shouting that he was completely exposed. Ha ha ha. He Tian also laughed after hearing this. That's so funny, He Tian laughed loudly, this can be rated as a sensational event this year. Yes, it ranks at the top of the list, Tang Pingan said, anyway, I will never forget this matter in my life, nor will I forget Wu Hao. Lu Hua echoed, although I gave everyone a smile, it was not malicious, and everyone will remember it in this life, so you are not at a loss. It's my fault, Wu Hao said, the management girl I have been chasing for a year no longer cares about me. Haha, that's not fate. There is a better girl waiting for you later, Tang Pingan said, everyone knows this. In fact, even if this didn't happen, the girl would not like Wu Hao. Everything is just an excuse. You bad friends, if I don't have a wife in the future, I will depend on you, Wu Hao said ruthlessly. He was also cheerful and able to joke. Because if you look at it, you will become a famous figure, and there will be no one like you. Afterwards, others also told interesting stories between classmates. During the dinner, He Tian excused herself to use the restroom and went to the counter to pay. Hello, the money for the peony hall has been paid, the proprietress said, these students are very strange. They used to pay after eating, but today they asked to pay first. Now I know, it turns out that someone is arguing pay it forward. He Tian smiled and said, I still want to treat them to dinner. Since she doesn't need to pay, she won't pay. Later, she will prepare some gifts for her classmates. Yuan Hua, who was following behind, ran back secretly and said, teacher, he really went to pay. Fortunately, we paid first. Hey, teacher, he is the best teacher I have ever encountered, Lu Hua said, and he was so good looking. Yes, I think so too, Yuan Hua said, we must study hard and create well. When people ask us which teacher we like best in the future, we will say teacher he, so that more people can know about teacher he. Yeah, Tang Pingan said. Last time, the publisher sent some questions, interviewed the author, and then published them in the magazine to promote his report. There is a question above, who do you want to thank most on the way to creation? Tang Pingan wrote without hesitation, my head teacher, my mentor. Yes, without He Tian's encouragement and enlightenment, he would not have had the opportunity to publish, nor would he have diverged his thinking, nor would he have written more exciting stories. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 817. 815. After hearing Tang Pingan's words, everyone nodded in recognition of Tang Pingan's words. Yes, that is our teacher He. Everyone laughed. We will always remember teacher He's teachings to us. They are very lucky to have a teacher who teaches openly in college. He Tian was really moved when she heard these words outside the door. These students are lovely. At the same time, I also feel the nobility of being a teacher. Although she has only led this class for 1 year, it was the most serious year for He Tian. There are many students in the world who dare not think about it, but they hope that their students will have a bright future. After entering the house, everyone drank some wine and sang songs, and the atmosphere was lively. Okay, everyone has eaten and drank enough. I am here to thank you all for inviting me to dinner today. You still have to catch the bus, so I won't continue. My address has been given to Yuanhua. Who of you is going to Yanjing? Come to me and I will treat you warmly, He Tian said, feeling full of wine and food, and feeling the melancholy of there is no such thing as a feast that lasts forever. Everyone looked at Yuanhua, thinking that they would ask the monitor for teacher He's address later. When you get to Yanjing, maybe you can visit teacher He. Goodbye, Mr. He, we will watch you go, Yuanhua said, saying no more words of farewell. Okay teacher He smiled, his eyes a little sore, pushed the bicycle and disappeared at the corner of the street. Everyone watched teacher He leave, and everyone asked Yuanhua, monitor, where is the teacher's address? Go over there and buy a pen and a notebook. I'll write down the address for each of you, Yuanhua said. This is what teacher He has given. If anyone goes to see teacher He or writes a letter, they should send it to this address. Lu Hua ran quickly and bought a notebook and pen. Yuanhua had already learned the address by heart, writing it down over and over again, tearing it up and giving it to everyone. Everyone took teacher He's address and then dispersed back to school. Most people took their luggage and prepared to go to the train station to catch the train. In the end, only Yuanhua and Tang Pingan were left. Tang Pingan, why don't you leave? Yuanhua asked curiously. Tang Pingan's hometown is far away. In the past, he would go home immediately as soon as he had a holiday. I still have some manuscripts, Tang Pingan said, write it as soon as possible, send it out the day after tomorrow, and then go home. What about you? I'm fine, I just can't bear to leave this school, Yuanhua said, feeling in his heart, in the blink of an eye, 1 year has passed. Yes, the seasons change and it's another year. Tang Pingan looked at the green trees beside the school's tree-lined avenue in confusion, his eyes a little confused. Yuanhua didn't say anything, and the two of them walked silently on campus. At the intersection ahead, we separate, one to the left and one to the right. Yuanhua returned to the dormitory, immediately took out a pen and paper, and wrote a poem very quickly. The name of the poem is She. There are not too many gorgeous words in it, but special rhymes are used to record her every move, every frown, and every smile. Although Tang Pingan was slightly drunk, his mind was very clear, and he wrote non-stop. The plots of the story were like a mountain spring pouring down and flowing endlessly. Until late at night, Tang Pingan was tired and fell asleep on the table. When he woke up the next morning, Tang Pingan looked at the thick manuscript paper in front of him and had actually written out the entire ending of Wind and Cloud. Tang Pingan couldn't believe it, worried that the quality was not good, so he read it word for word. Except for the slightly messy handwriting, the sentences were smooth, coherent, and very coherent. This is an unexpected surprise. Tang Pingan took the original manuscript to the library and asked the staff inside to help make a copy. Then I took out the plastic folder, carefully collected the originals, and then sent the photocopy to Xia Weining together with the interview. Tang Pingan took his luggage and walked on the school's tree-lined avenue. The setting sun stretched his tall figure very long. Yuanhua also took his luggage and saw Tang Pingan and said, "Tang Pingan, what time is your train?" "It's 8 o'clock in the evening, what about you?" Tang Pingan asked, turning to look at monitor Yuanhua. "I'm here at 7:30. "Let's have dinner together and go to the train station together," Yuanhua said. "I wrote a poem, please help me read it." Tang Pingan said, "Okay, let me take a look." While the two were waiting for the food, Yuanhua took out his notebook, handed it to Tang Pingan and said, "Look at the last page. She has a pair of bright eyes, she has a considerate mind." Tang Pingan carefully savored each sentence word by word. Yuanhua was excited. She drank alcohol yesterday and her hands and feet were sore, but her brain was very clear and she composed this poem in a few minutes. After a while, Tang Pingan nodded and said, "Very good. Did you write it based on teacher he?" "Yeah," Yuanhua said, "it can be all great women, or all beautiful things." "This is the most emotional of all your poems," Tang Pingan said, "can you copy it to me?" "Okay," Yuanhua nodded and personally copied a copy for Tang Pingan. After Tang Pingan read it twice, he was able to recite it and keep it in mind. After dinner, the two went to the train station together. Yuanhua's train was at 7:30. Tang Pingan saw Yuanhua's squad leader on the train and was waiting for his train alone again. Tickets were checked, although the flow of people was walking in the crowded crowd. The sky at night is not dark, but becomes somewhat bright under the reflection of the lights. She is leaving. She, heading north. Him, heading south. Tears finally flowed down the corners of his eyes. He is not a fool. Although he didn't want to admit it before, when he was alone, through that poem, he understood his heart. Regardless of leaving, Tang Pingan decided not to see He Tian Tian in this life. "It's not because I don't want to see you, but cannot see. I'm afraid that I still want to see you after seeing it, but in the end I can't control my emotions, destroying the friendship between teachers and students, and destroying the beauty." At this time, Tang Pingan remembered the poem "The Farthest Distance in the World" by the Indian poet Rabindranath Tagore. The furthest distance in the world is not the distance between life and death. But when I stand in front of you, you don't know that I love you. The farthest distance in the world. It's not me standing in front of you, but you don't know that I love you. But love to the point of obsession but can't say I love you. The furthest distance in the world is not my inability to say I love you. But I miss you so much that my heart aches but I can only bury it deep in my heart. The furthest distance in the world is not that I can't say I miss you. The farthest distance in the world is the distance between a fish and a bird in the sky. One dives deep into the sea. Having read this poem before, I just felt that Tagore was indeed a famous poet who could write such penetrating days. But only when you have truly experienced the farthest distance in the world can you understand the sweetness, pain, struggle, and helplessness in this poem. Tang Pingan raised his head, hoping that the tears in his eyes would evaporate. He pleased her. She does not know. He couldn't say it, he could only bury it in his heart. Because they don't love each other, they can't be together. She is a free bird in the sky. And he is just a humble little fish in the water, destined not to be together. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 818. 816. He Tian Tian corrected the test papers, registered the results, and then handed over the papers and left the school. When he arrived at the gate, He Tian Tian turned around and looked at the familiar campus behind, feeling a little reluctant. In the future, if there is no special matter, He Tian Tian will not come to school. Goodbye, my alma mater. Goodbye, my youth. He Tian Tian did not go home, but came to the lake, sat on a bench, looked at the sparkling lake, and began to settle her thoughts. Since her rebirth, she has walked steadily at every stage. From 1970 to 1977, I spent 7 unforgettable and fulfilling years in Kijia village. In the past 7 years, she had more relatives and friends, overcame difficulties and attacked those who were hypocritical and bullied her. Her relationship with Huo Yingji suffered setbacks, but she finally came over, got married, had children, and had a different life. More importantly, she protected her family. Her parents were alive and well, and she also had 2 relatives of the trainees, her grandmother Bai Qianjiao and her brother He Daodu. From 1977 to 1981, he was in Nanji. In 4 years, she took the college entrance examination and went to college, completing the baptism of her soul, which made her become more calm. Becoming a teacher has raised me to a higher level in terms of thinking and vision, and I have achieved self-improvement. She has classmates, she has students, she has colleagues. Of course, she has her own career. Although it cannot be compared with her grandmother's huge industry abroad, Sanfan Bridge was built by He Tiantian herself. It is her hard work and achievement. Every penny earned is earned with a clear conscience. Soon, she will go to Yanjing. From now on, a new journey begins. He Tiantian raised her head and looked at the sky. A bit dazzling, but it brings light. The little spin turtle was watching not far away, wondering what happened to Madam. Not happy? It's not like that. Maybe you're a little reluctant? Hey, I don't want to think about it anymore, the human world is like this. It's better to just be a spinning turtle. After an unknown amount of time, He Tiantian got up and rode his bicycle home. The laughter of the children at home attracted He Tiantian from her melancholy mood. When Grandma Wang saw He Tiantian coming back, she asked, "Tiantian, have you settled the work matters?" "It's been taken care of." He Tiantian nodded. "Grandma is coming over in the next 2 days. I will stay with her for half a month, and then we will go to Yanjing." "Okay," Grandma Wang said. Although she was in good health, traveling between Nanji and Yanjing every winter made her a little tired. "If I can settle in Yanjing in the future, I won't have to go back and forth. Furthermore, the child is getting older and she may not need to take care of him when he goes to school." Grandma Wang just wanted to stay in one place and didn't want to move. Qi Zhengan and Qi Zhenmin returned to Kijia village and took Grandma Qi San and Old Man Qi over for a while. Although Nanji is hot, Qi Zhenmin's yard is not hot. There is an air conditioner modified by Huo Yingji in the house. There are green trees outside and the scenery is very good. "Grandma, I will go to Yanjing in a while, and I may not be able to see you often in the future," He Tiantian said softly, gently holding Grandma Qi San's arm, just like she did in Kijia village before. "When I was helpless, I always wanted to get inspiration from Grandma Qi San." Grandma Qi San gently touched He Tianatian's soft hair and laughed softly. "Silly boy, since you can't change, just accept it. There used to be a poem describing the friendship between men and women. If the love lasts for a long time, this poem can also be used for other emotions. You are a kind, filial, and loyal child, but nothing can go wrong as long as you think about me. The sky is swaying in front of my eyes, and without me in my heart, there is more love. Grandma, you are still so good at comforting people," He Tiantian muttered softly after listening to Grandma Qi San's words, but she felt much better. "Okay, don't think about these things," Grandma Qi San said. "Come and tell me, what happened this year?" Although she usually writes letters, Grandma Qi San doesn't know the specific details, which makes her very curious. He Tiantian told Grandma Qi San in detail, and there was laughter from time to time, and sometimes there were praises and scoldings from Grandma Qi San. Qi Zhenmin was taking care of her children not far away, and whispered to Qi Zhengan, "Brother, do you think Tiantian is like Grandma's granddaughter?" "Ha ha," Qi Zhengan smiled, They supported each other and got through the difficult days together. Naturally, you and I can't compare to it, but it doesn't change the fact that we are the grandsons and granddaughters of our grandparents. Her blood flows through us. If you have blood, you should be filial to her. At the same time, Grandma is also a respectable old man, isn't she? Yes, Chi Jinmin said, Grandma and Sister Tian Tian can get along so well. I think it's because they have many similarities. I'm not jealous, but I'm just curious. You are not the only one who is curious, Qi Zhengan whispered. During this period of time spent with Zhang Mengmeng, he discovered Zhang Mengmeng's cuteness, but occasionally he would still think of He Tian Tian. He wanted to find out, but he wasn't sure if the emotions here were the same as before. I can only stay away. Qi Zhenmin heard it, but she didn't answer. I don't know how to answer it, so I can't say, brother, are you still thinking about Tian Tian? It's better not to say anything at all. It doesn't matter if Sister Tian Tian goes to Yanjing, and she doesn't need to meet Tian Tian, maybe my brother can get along with Zhang Mengmeng with peace of mind. Grandma Wang and He Tian Tian moved their children to the yard by the lake, and went to Grandma Chi San's place to eat and play every day. Half a month later, He Tian Tian finally packed her bags and prepared to go north. Before leaving, I found Kui Ying and Huang Jingli, and the three of them made an appointment in a tea house outside. We each sat down and ordered a pot of Westlake Longjing. Tian Tian, when are you going to Yanjing? Kui Ying asked. Huashan was helping in Yanjing and hasn't been back for 2 or 3 months. If Nanchi couldn't leave, she would have wanted to visit Yanjing. What are you busy with? Haha, He Tian Tian smiled, Miss Huashan. Think of a big-headed ghost, Kui Ying rolled her eyes and refused to admit it. Tian Tian, are you going to Yanjing? Huang Jingli has been very busy recently. It's summer, and the chickens, ducks, geese, and other poultry and livestock must be carefully managed. She has to go there every day to supervise and inspect, and she doesn't dare to be careless for a moment. Now Sanfan Kiao's business is very good, and He Tian Tian gives her the supply business. She can't be unserious just because she has a good relationship with He Tian Tian. Huang Jingli knows He Tian Tian very well. If something happens, He Tian Tian will find a new supplier. I won't stop pursuing it just because of my previous relationship. The Poison Queen's strategy where monsters are innocent. Introduction, there is no queen without poison, the history of the poisonous queen's counterattack and abuse of scum. At the same time, the previous love was also her, Huang Jingli's, debt to He Tian Tian, not He Tianation's love to her, so Huang Jingli was more attentive. For the sake of his own business, and also to repay He Tian Tian. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 819. 817. He Tian Tian patted her head, as if remembering something. I've been so busy lately. I don't have time to play with you, and you don't have time to see me, so I forgot to tell you about this. He Tian Tian smiled and said, Yingzhe has been transferred to Yanjing. Take the child over there. Besides, the 2 shops over there are going to open at the same time, so I have to go and keep an eye on them. Oh, then you won't be able to drink tea often from now on. Huang Jingli sighed, you go to Yanjing, and Xiao Yan will be with you there. I have Kui Ying by my side, so I am not alone. You are not in the system, so you have more free time. You can come to Yanjing in the future. Besides, I will come when I have time. He Tian Tian said, distance is not a problem, time is the key. That's right, Kui Ying said, I've wanted to take a look for a long time. It just so happens that my uncle is on vacation. He can go to the shop to look after it for me. I'll go to Yanjing with you. He, Huang Jingli blinked, you said you don't want Huashan, but you want to chase after it, and you're still saying what you say. Yes, what you say is true. He Tian Tian agreed, smiling mischievously. When married women talk together, they are not taboo about meat and vegetables. Okay, okay, I just miss washing. What's wrong? He is my husband, why can't I think about it anymore? Kui Ying said with a frown. You men have been away for a long time, you don't want to. Ahem, he Tian choked, she really wanted to, and she felt it deeply. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's talk about business matters, Kui Ying said. The business of the antique store is not bad. When Yanjing becomes stable, Huashan also wants to open a branch in Yanjing. Oh, when we open a branch, you will all go to Yanjing, and I will be alone in Nanji. Huang Jingli smiled bitterly. You are so cruel, leaving me alone. Kui Ying smiled and said, not necessarily, the key is to make money. Take the antique shop in Nanji, do you know how much money you can get this year? How much? He Tian asked. Because the store just opened last year, it didn't take long, so there was no dividend. Kui Ying stretched out a finger. 10,000, he Tian asked, 10,000 for a family, or 10,000 in total? No, guess again, Kui Ying said, guess too much. A total of 100,000 yuan, Huang Jingli said, feeling hot in her heart. There are 100,000 yuan, and she has 20%, so there are 20,000 yuan. The capital has come up. He Tian smiled and said, if it's 100,000, that's not bad. The antique store business is not about getting rich overnight. You can't guess, Kui Ying said. Tianation's 40% share can be divided into 100,000 yuan, Jingli can be divided into 50,000 yuan, our husband and wife can be divided into 75,000 yuan, and Qinli can be divided into 25,000 yuan. Ah! Huang Jingli was shocked, oh my god, so much money. I thought 10,000 yuan would be good. Yeah, I can get 100,000 yuan. He Tian was a little dizzy. She didn't expect that this antique shop was tepid. It really didn't open for 3 years, and it took 3 years for it to open. It was silent. I made so much money without ringing. Kui Ying said proudly, this is still Nanji. If it is opened in Yanjing, this number can be doubled. Then Kui Ying, you go to Yanjing with Huashan. From now on, I will rely on you for my private money, Huang Jingli said with a smile, having long forgotten her expression of accusing her friends of going to Yanjing one by one. You're willing to leave your friends when you see that you're making money. Kui Ying cast a sidelong glance at Huang Jingli, it's you who is the duplicitous person. Yes, yes, you said I was telling the truth, Huang Jingli said. By the way, when we go to Yanjing to open a store, the ratio will remain the same as now. We will inject capital according to the amount of investment. Huang Jingli knew that she had 20% of the shares, and it was Kui Ying who had a good relationship with her that led to such a good thing. She has self-awareness, so she won't. Kui Ying nodded and said, well, let's do it. In 2 days, I will make an appointment with Qinli to talk to her. If she agrees, we will go to Yanjing to open a store. There are many rich people there who like to collect antiques. Too much. Don't worry, she will definitely agree. He is a person who is more obsessed with money than me. Huang Jingli smiled, but Qinli is good at doing things in a measured way. Yes, Kui Ying said, he is a good person. Yeah, not bad, He Tian nodded. Here comes the snacks, including my favorite hibiscus cake. Oh my, I'm so envious that you don't get fat no matter how much you eat. Huang Jingli looked at Kui Ying sadly. He Tian, it's fine that Kui Ying didn't give birth to a child, but Tian you gave birth to a child, why are you so thin? It's not fair that I'm so fat. Kui Ying smiled and said, stop yelling. You are called plump, not fat. Besides, you were not thin before you gave birth. Now you are just a little fatter than before. You still said. Huang Jingli was angry, turning her grief and anger into strength, and directly picked up a favorite Wozy candy and put it in her mouth. If you are fat, You are fat. Eat less when you go home. It's too painful for me to watch you eat. Haha, He Tian and Kui Ying burst out laughing when they saw Huang Jingli like this. Stop laughing, okay, Huang Jingli wrinkled her nose and said, it's so bad to still laugh, is there any way you can help me eat what I like and still lose weight? He Tian shrugged and said, I really can't help it. I'm usually very busy and eat a lot, you guys know how much I eat. I can't give you good advice on this. He Tian eats a lot, as her friends Kui Ying and Huang Jingli know. When she is not hungry, she eats 2 bowls of rice, and when she is hungry, she eats 3 bowls of rice, not including various meat and vegetable dishes. You are an anomaly, Huang Jingli said. Kui Ying, tell me, you eat a lot and don't exercise much, how do you stay in shape? Kui Ying smiled and said, I have learned a set of physical training techniques. If you are interested, come to my house every week and I will teach you. After you master it, you can practice at home and you will lose weight. Practice physical skills. Huang Jingli was surprised. Is it easy to learn? Can I learn it? The action is very simple, but you have to persevere. If you can't persist, it won't be effective, Kui Ying said, but if you persist, I guarantee you won't be afraid of obesity. Okay, I'll learn, Huang Jingli nodded. Now her family is not short of money and can buy a lot of clothes, but she no longer has a figure. Although her husband doesn't dislike it now, as the family becomes richer and richer, who knows whether Wu Yaoliang will change his mind. Women still have to be kind to themselves, and it's also good for their bodies to exercise more. Okay, I'm usually in the store. If you're free, come to the store and I can teach you the moves in the office, Kui Ying said, so that it won't delay her work, as long as Huang Jingli comes over when she's free. It's settled, Huang Jingli nodded. When I lose weight, let's go shopping for clothes together. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 820. 818. After the gathering with her sisters, He Tian threw away all the clothes at home. Those that could not be worn were packed up, and mailed directly to Yanjing to avoid giving too many gifts and not being able to finish them all. After that, he explained to Qianshikan and Sun Sihao about the 2 shops and told them to pay attention to quality. Fortunately, we are already on track here and don't need to worry much. After making good arrangements, He Tian can finally rest assured. With only some simple luggage, He Tian set off north. Kui Ying originally wanted to follow, but business in Sanfenju has been very good recently and she couldn't leave for the time being, so she asked He Tian to leave first. Mom, drink some water. He Tian fetched hot water and poured a glass for her mother-in-law. Thank you, Zhang Lifang took it. You should also rest and stop working. Yes, He Tian agreed, feeling grateful to her mother-in-law. In fact, her mother-in-law did not need to go to Yanjing this time, but Zhang Lifang thought that Song Chunli would definitely have a dispute with Tian over the shares. He Tian is a junior and cannot say some things, but she, Zhang Lifang, can. Before coming, Zhang Lifang was dumbfounded when she heard that the total investment was 5 million. Then think about it again, give Song Chunli 10%, give Zhao Huan 10%, my mother, that is 1 million. Even if she, Song Chunli, didn't spend a penny from her wedding day, she wouldn't be able to save so much money. With only 20% of the shares being so much money, Zhang Lifang could silence her sister-in-law even more. Along the way, Zhang Lifang and Grandma Wang were mainly responsible for taking care of the children, while He Tian was busy fetching water and buying food. It was okay for 3 people to take care of 2 children. When he arrived in Yanjing, Huo Yingzhe asked for leave and was waiting eagerly at the exit. I am alone in Yanjing and miss my family so much. Seeing He Tian, his mother, and Grandma Wang leading the 2 children, Huo Yingzhe raised his hands and said, Tian, this way, this way. Daddy, Daddy, The two children were very excited to see their father, shouting happily, and rushed forward. Zhang Lifang was also very happy to see her son and waved to him not far away. He Tiantian was holding 3 large bags of luggage at the back, looking even more petite. Huo Yingzhe felt extremely distressed, climbed over the railing, and came over to help He Tiantian carry her luggage. The staff at the train station was stunned, and just as they were about to stop him, Huo Yingzhe jumped over the railing with 3 large packages. Seeing this, the staff stopped chasing him. After all, they still had to maintain order here. As long as they left without causing trouble, it would be fine. When we got outside, there were 2 cars outside. Zhang Lifang and Grandma Wang were sitting in Xiaowu's car. Huo Yingzhe drove, carrying He Tiantian and the 2 children. Zhang Ning sat in the co-pilot, responsible for protecting Huo Yingzhe's safety. Brother Yingzhe, when did you get your driver's license? He Tiantian asked curiously. By the way, has my car arrived? Here we are, it's in the backyard, Huo Yingzhe said. This is just for this period of time. If you want to learn, I can teach you and get you a certificate when the time comes. Okay, I can't wait, He Tiantian said. By the way, you haven't introduced the guy in front of me yet. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, this is my new bodyguard Zhang Ning, and the one driving behind is Xiaowu. Zhang Ning, this is my wife He Tiantian, and those 2 are my twin daughters and sons. Hello, sister-in-law, I am Zhang Ning said respectfully. No wonder the leader kept talking about it all day long. No one would be at ease with such a beautiful daughter-in-law in her hometown, let alone such a lovely daughter and son. At the same time, Zhang Ning is also envious. The leader is really a winner in life. He Tiantian smiled and said, nice to meet you. Ruwa, Ruiman, your name is Uncle Zhang. Hello, Uncle Zhang, Huo Ruiman said politely. Although he was naughty, He Tiantian was usually strict with her. Hello, Uncle Zhang, Huo Ruwa said softly. Zhang Ning was a little restless. He didn't expect the leader's wife and children to be so approachable. He could not find a more suitable adjective to forgive him for being uneducated. Hello, Zhang Ning said, his face slightly red. After that, it's 100,000 wise time for the 2 kids. Even if the questions are very naive, Huo Yingzhe will answer them seriously. Brother Yingzhe, where are we going? He Tiantian asked, not wanting to go to the old house. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, of course we are going to our own home. I have packed up the house and it is ready to live in. I have prepared the water heater and other things. Speaking of the water heater, Zhang Ning also admired it. The leader assembled and welded the pile of things together to create a water heater. It was also solar powered and did not burn carbon. As long as the sun shines, there will be hot water. That's great, He Tiantian said, thank you for your hard work. It's not hard, Huo Yingzhe said, just bring these luggage. I packed up the other clothes and mailed them over. They may not have arrived yet. I guess I have to wait for 2 days, He Tiantian said. She only has 8 or 9 big bags of clothes throughout the year, not to mention there are still more clothes. The child's, Huo Yingzhe's, packed up a total of 17 or 18 super large woven bags. When I took it to the post office for mailing, the staff was shocked when I saw it. He Tiantian gritted her teeth and mailed these things under the strange eyes of the staff. The mailing fee alone cost 200 yuan. Oh, in that case, the wardrobe at home is probably not enough. Anyway, since you are here, we can go shopping together tomorrow, Huo Yingzhe said, making arrangements. Okay, He Tian nodded, if there is no suitable one, we will find a carpenter to do it. I want to use a part of the room as a cloakroom to store some clothes from other seasons. The wardrobe in the house will be used immediately. How about it? There are really too many clothes. That's good. You can make the final decision on things at home, Huo Yingzhe said. He liked to see He Tian going back and forth decorating their home like a little bee. Okay, then I'll do whatever I want. He Tian was delighted and a little impatient. After a while, we arrived home. Huo Yingji came down, opened the door for He Tian, and took out the child. Zhang Ning got in the car and drove to the garage behind. Behind, Zhang Lifang and Grandma Wang also came out of the car. Qi Xiaoyan, who was in the yard, heard the sound of a car driving at the door. She quickly came out and saw He Tian. Sister Tian, you are here, Qi Xiaoyan said excitedly. Aunt Zhang, Grandma Wang, come in quickly, the room is cool, the food has been prepared, it's time to eat. In Huashan, the army of cattle is cooking. Hello, Xiaoyan, Zhang Lifang said, thank you for your hard work. Sister Tian and I are good sisters. You can't be too polite. I will be embarrassed to come over to eat and drink in the future, Qi Xiaoyan said, stepping forward to help Zhang Lifang and Grandma Wang with their luggage. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 821. 819. A group of people entered the house. Although Zhang Lifang had visited this courtyard before during the Chinese New Year, it was uninhabited and lifeless at that time. Now there are people and fireworks, and the main courtyard has become lively. Grandma Wang secretly praised that this house is much better than the Huo family's old house. At the same time, I also understand why Zhang Lifang and He Tian are unwilling to live in the old house. I have a big house, so why do I live in such an uncomfortable place with so many people, especially Song Chunli, who is confused and always makes her face look ugly. Qi Xiaoyan took her luggage in and said, Sister Tian, there is hot water in the bathroom over there. You go over there to wash up, and come over for dinner quickly. Okay, He Tian smiled and did not say thank you to Qi Xiaoyan, because she felt that she and Qi Xiaoyan had reached the point where no polite words were needed. I will keep all your kindness in mind. Mom, you and Grandma Wang take a bath first, and I'll get you clothes, He Tian said, put the hot water on, stripped off the child's clothes, and threw them into the basin. Zhang Lifang, Grandma Wang helped the child wash first. He Tian brought some clothes, put them on the child, then took the child out to dry her hair in the sun, and then looked for clothes for her mother-in-law and Grandma Wang. After they had all washed up, He Tian went in with her clothes. Huo Yingji felt very sweet as he watched He Tian busy. He Tian put on a white dress, sandals on her feet, and her wet hair was wrapped in a big towel. Huo Yingji came over and helped wipe his hair until it was half dry. He temporarily tied it with a rubber band and went inside to eat. Zhang Lifang, Grandma Wang, was already sitting at the dinner table with her children. Qi Xiaoyan and Niu Dajin also sat down with their children, waiting for He Tian. Sister Tian, hurry up, we are hungry, Qi Xiaoyan said with a smile, today's food is definitely very good, I really want to eat it. Yeah, He Tian was a little curious, you and brother Dajin, Huashan's cooking skills are average, is there anyone else? At this time, a man came in with a huge bowl and said, give me a moment, give me a moment. He Tian turned around and saw an acquaintance. Li Yunzong, He Tian said in surprise, didn't you recover and return to your hometown? Li Yunzong smiled and said, sister-in-law, you have worked hard all the way. Let's eat first and talk about me later, okay? Okay, of course, He Tian said, hurry up and sit down and eat together. You guys eat first, I have 2 more dishes, Li Yunzong said, wiped his hands and left. Li Yunzong obviously didn't want to say it in front of everyone. Of course He Tian wouldn't ask again, and neither would anyone else. Xie Wu and Zhang Ning stood guard outside and asked them to come in to eat, but they refused to come in. He Tiantian took advantage of everyone not eating yet and gave them some of each dish. Li Yunzong brought the food and saw it, he smiled and said, "Sister-in-law, I have left some for them, please don't dial any more." "Oh, then I won't dial," He Tiantian smiled and said, "Hurry up too." "Okay, come right away, you eat first, don't wait for me," Li Yunzong said, putting down the boiled beef in his hand, and went to serve the sauced duck. Everyone has already started eating. The food on the train is not delicious. I can't help smelling such fragrant food. Li Yunzong brought the sauced duck up and sat down as well. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, "We are all from our own family, so don't be polite. Let's all eat." He put a lot of dishes for He Tiantian, and also for Grandma Wang and Zhang Lifang. The meals were delicious. "Yunzong's craftsmanship is good," Zhang Lifang said with a smile. In the past, Li Yunzong followed Huo Yingzhi and often came to Nanji. He would also help cook, and Zhang Lifang often ate. He, Li Yunzong smiled honestly, "Actually, the food I cook is not as good as our Captain Zhang. Except for our local specialties, I learned everything else from our Captain Zhang. It's also very good," He Tiantian said, "I like eating your cooking very much." "Thank you, sister-in-law," Li Yunzong said, "Come on, Aunt Zhang, Grandma Wang, eat more. If you don't like it or want to eat something, you can tell me and I will try my best to improve it. It's already very good." "We're used to it," Zhang Lifang said, "thanks to you for your hard work." "It's not hard. Brother Huo is kind to me, so I should do it," Li Yunzong said, "Eat, eat more." After dinner, Li Yunzong smiled and said, "Aunt Zhang, Sister Xiao Yan has packed up Grandma Wang's room for you. Brother Huo, take your sister-in-law and the children into the house to rest. I'll clean up here." He Tiantian smiled and said, "Mom, Grandma Wang, you go and rest first. It's too hot in the car and you didn't sleep well." "Okay, let's go over then." "Thank you for the hard work on you juniors," Grandma Wang said, "with these juniors here, it is not her turn to do housework as an old woman." After the elders left, Qi Xiaoyan pulled the children and He Tiantian into the house, turned on the large air conditioner inside, and then took some toys from the side for the children to play with. "Niuda, Niu you play with your younger brothers and sisters while Mom chats with Aunt Tiantian," Qi Xiaoyan said impatiently, throwing the child aside. "There are so many things outside, let me clean them up." He Tiantian felt a little guilty. She would never let others do housework. It was the reason why she stayed cool in the house. Qi Xiaoyan said with a smile, "Okay, there are so many big men out there, let them do it, and let's talk." "Okay," He Tiantian smiled, "although I usually receive letters from you, I never have the atmosphere of chatting in person. Tell me, what happy events have happened recently?" Qi Xiaoyan said with a smile, "Sister Tiantian, a few days ago someone from an economic company came to me and said that he wanted to sign a contract with me and give me a music tape. I was very tempted, but I didn't dare to agree. I just said that I would consider it for a few days. Come here and give me some advice." "Where is the company?" He Tiantian asked, "is it legal?" Qi Xiaoyan looked confused and said, "Just give me a business card and ask me to prepare 10,000 yuan, saying it is the startup capital." When He Tiantian heard that others took the initiative to come up and release the tape, they should give the singer money, why should the singer take the money himself? "Show me your business card," He Tiantian said, "find it out and then make a decision. Besides, I heard from Sister Xie that music companies give money to singers. How can anyone ask the singer for money?" "Ah," Qi Xiaoyan was stunned, took out her business card from her bag, and asked doubtfully, "He said it was an early investment, and when the tape is sold, he will give me the previous investment and general profits." He Tiantian took it over and looked at it. It was quite a formal business card. If you don't believe it, wait until Li Yunzong is free and ask him to investigate for you. Then you will give up, He Tian said. It is most likely a lie. Hey, Chi Xiao Yan sighed, Sister Tian, is this really a liar? Isn't that right? You will know after the investigation, He Tian said. Don't be impatient. Take your time. When I have the chance, I will definitely give you the tape. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 822. 820. Fortunately, Chi Xiao Yan is timid, otherwise she would have signed the contract, given the money to them, and been deceived, and might have been forced to participate in some messy business performances. Then I can study with peace of mind, Chi Xiao Yan said, a little melancholy. Sister Tian, I want to sing. I want more people to hear me sing. This is the purpose of your coming to Yanjing. Otherwise, why would you leave your hometown and come here? He Tian said. The shop is not open yet, and you don't have enough funds in hand. Besides, you don't have any good songs. It's a good song, so it's not a good time to release a tape. Let's wait. Well, I listen to you, Sister Tian. Chi Xiao Yan seemed to have found a backbone. Niu Daijin is working very hard at home, and Chi Xiao Yan doesn't want to bother him with these things. Now that He Tian is here, Chi Xiao Yan has someone to talk to, and she can also get a lot of very good advice. This is one of the reasons why Chi Xiao Yan eagerly hopes that He Tian will come to Yanjing. Chi Xiao Yan was thankful more than once that meeting He Tian was her greatest luck in this life. As long as she stayed with Sister Tian, she was guaranteed to have everything she wished for come true, and everything would go smoothly. The child played for a while and became a little sleepy. Chi Xiao Yan smiled and said, Sister Tian, take the children to rest. I took my 2 naughty eggs home. You can rest here. Why go back? He Tian asked. Come on, don't leave. It's okay. It's very close. You'll be home in a few steps, Chi Xiao Yan said. You have a good rest. I'll come over to play with you tomorrow. Well, that's okay, I'll see you off. He Tian was about to get up. No, it's hot outside, don't come out. Chi Xiao Yan knew how uncomfortable it was to ride in a car. When she took the train to Yanjing, she rested for several days before she regained her composure. Okay, I'm not polite to you, He Tian said. Be careful on the road. Chi Xiao Yan arrived outside and the men had already packed up. Brother Daijin, the child is sleepy. Let's go back first and let Sister Tian and the others have a good rest. We'll come back tomorrow, Chi Xiao Yan said. He Tian and Huo Yingjia may not feel anything when outsiders are around, but Zhang Lifang, Grandma Wang may be a little uncomfortable. Niu Daijin hugged his dazed son and said, Okay, let's go back first and have a good chat tomorrow. Niu Daijin put his children into the car and drove home with his wife. Huashan smiled and said, I'm going back too. Then I won't send you off, Huo Yingjia said. I'll treat you well tomorrow and let's have a good chat. Huashan was a little excited. His efforts these days were not in vain, and he received praise from Huo Yingjia. Because of the exercises given by Huo Yingjia, Huashan worked during the day, ran around here and there, and practiced at night. He actually made rapid progress, which was even greater than the progress he had made in the past 10 years. Brother Huo, you should go and have a rest too, Li Yunzong said. After everything is tidied up here, I'll go too. Thank you, Yunzong, Huo Yingjia said. Since I brought you here, I treat you as a brother. Tian and the others are already here, so you don't have to worry about no one cooking for me. You can clean up tomorrow in a moment. Go back to your hometown and fetch your mother. Thank you, Brother Huo. Li Yunzong was very touched. When he came to Yanjing, the thing he couldn't let go of the most was his mother. Originally, I wanted to settle down in Yanjing and then take my mother over. He didn't say anything yet, Brother Huo had already said it. Okay, let's not talk about this, brothers Huo Yingji said. I wanted to help you get revenge before, but if you didn't want to, then I'll keep it for you until you grow up and take revenge on your own. It's just that you go back this time you must keep a low profile. Even if someone provokes you, don't fight with them. Just pick me up. Li Yunzong nodded and said, I took note of it, Brother Huo. Well, remember Huo Yingji said, I believe you have grown a lot after that incident. Being smooth does not make you lose your heart, but it may help you deal with the world more properly. Take your time in the future, don't be anxious. I'll take note of it, Brother Huo. Li Yunzong nodded repeatedly, having suffered such a big loss. Although he didn't regret doing that, if he didn't get along well with his colleagues and leaders on weekdays, he might not have done anything good. No one protected him. Everyone will grow. So does Li Yunzong. Huo Yingji went in to rest. The two children had already fallen asleep. He Tian turned up the air conditioner and put a small blanket on their bellies. Finally, I've waited for you all, Huo Yingji said. Every day I wait, my neck is longer than a giraffe. He Tian pushed away the big head pressing on her chest and said, thank you for your hard work. Then take a good rest and see if you can retract your neck. Huo Yingji knew that He Tian was rejecting him. He also knew that riding in the car was tiring, so he hugged Tian and fell asleep. By the time He Tian woke up, it was already past 4 in the afternoon. The temperature outside was a little lower than at noon, but it was still very hot. Huo Yingji and He Tian, who was having a rest, were playing in the house with their children to prevent them from making trouble. Zhang Lifang, Grandma Wang is getting better. If it wasn't still a little hot outside, I would have gone for a walk in the yard. After Huo Yingji arrived, he bought some flowers and plants and planted them according to the patterns of some spirit gathering arrays. Even though it was difficult to survive in summer, the flowers and plants planted by Huo Yingji all survived. Zhang Lifang likes such an atmospheric yard and the flowers and plants inside. Yingji, we are going to the old house tomorrow, will you go? Zhang Lifang asked. Huo Yingji shook his head and said, Mom, I can't go. Today is already a day off. I will visit my grandfather and grandmother again on the weekend. That's okay, it's okay if you don't go, Zhang Lifang said. If we go this time, your aunt will definitely mention the shares in the store. It's not good for you to be there. Tian and I will go there. In a family like the Huo family, there are usually minor frictions between women, but the men do not interfere with each other and do not affect the relationship. Well, it's really hard for me to get there, Huo Yingji said with a smile. Mom, isn't that why you came here? Yes, there are some things that Tian can't say, but I can, Zhang Lifang said. If I don't come over, Tian will have to be eaten by your aunt. Tian is stubborn at heart. If you argue with her, you will always there will be something wrong. That's hard work, Mom, Huo Yingji said. Mom, you didn't go see the two shops Tian built now. They are really good. Giving them 20% is too much. Zhang Lifang was moved and wanted to take a look. She said, Tian is probably awake too. Let's go take a look together so that I can have an idea. Okay, Huo Yingji smiled, you can get there quickly by car.